Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a while. I'm happy to be with you. My name is Angie Apt, and this is Spiritual Discoveries with Angie and Friends. Welcome. And as you're coming on, I'd love it if you say hi and let us know where you're from. And I have to introduce you to my friend Tom Cratsley. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, good. It's good to be with you.
I know. I'm glad to have you too. Hang on one second. I'm just fixing my Facebook, Tom, so we're doing this right. Edit privacy. Okay. Okay. Okay, I got it. All right, we're done. We did that. I got to make sure I remember that. So, okay, so if you're just coming on, my name is Angie App. This is Spiritual Discoveries with Angie and Friends, and I'm with Tom Cratsley. And Tom, I actually missed the Lilydale season this year, but Tom was there, right? Tom, like you live in
Yeah,
Lilydale.
yeah. I was there been here the whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was it this year? Like I know you
I
worked.
thought,
Go ahead.
it's so interesting watching how people are reacting to Lilydale post COVID, right? And I think Lilydale's gotten busier. A lot more younger people are coming, which is a great
Wow.
sign.
Yeah.
And the Healing Temple, which is my first love here at
Yeah.
Lilydale.
Yeah.
I was first exposed to the Healing Temple in 1968.
Really?
Part of a metaphysical coffee clutch. We
Really?
came out, and I was just smitten, if you say, by what I observed in the Healing Temple. I said, I got to know this. I got to do this thing. I got to know it.
Is
So
that
it's
is that
been
when
my
is that when you knew you were a healer?
I didn't know I was a healer. I knew I had to pursue it.
Yeah. You
no,
just felt just by being there, you just knew.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew I had to pursue it. So, so I did, and by the time, let's see, that was in 1968. Probably by the um, early to mid 70s, I was able to start working in the temple because I would come here every summer. I made it an objective of mine to be in Lilydale every summer. I'd rent a place and I'd, do what I could to be part of the Healing Temple.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's amazing. Like I love that healing temple too, because you walk in, you can get a healing, but I think when you're just sitting in the chairs, like waiting to be called up for your energy healing, you feel it then too.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it's the space has become, especially in the summertime, has become. We throw around the term sacred space, sacred places, but it truly is when you have a group of like-minded people, intentionally focused on healing, um, without any other interference. I mean, basically, there's no dialogue there. I mean, there's an opening prayer,
Yeah.
but it's just people devoted and being open to the universal presence of divine healing energy. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's silent. I mean, when you're sitting there, there isn't any. Maybe there's a little music on, but mostly it's silent, right?
right. There's some um, soft music in the background.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
nice. Didn't you say like this year too? Like people were just kind of lining up, out down the street to get in there.
That went on. Well, partly that was because of a change in our occupancy because of the fire codes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
part of it, but it wasn't the whole thing. People were lined up at every service, and a lot of people who had never been there before. And what's was particularly um, impressive to me was that many of the new people were really in a place of surrender to the healing energy. Now, in the past, a lot of new people would be what I call rubberneckers. You know,
Yeah,
they go in, they sit down in the chair, and they're like, instead of being in a solemn, open place,
yeah,
they be gawking around while they're getting a healing.
yeah. Right, right. Well, they're curious, right? Because
Yeah.
they're it's
And
like
you
what
know what? And
they
the
see.
interesting thing is, one of the things I've learned about that is something brought them there,
Yeah.
and there's some part of their consciousness that's, and this is what I have to let myself know. It's like some part of their consciousness wanted and needed this, even
Yes.
if on a self-conscious level they weren't, completely aware. So
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I remember going there the first time myself, and I had never seen anything like it. Like there aren't many places you can go where you see healing taking place, and you can sit down and get a healing. So I wonder if that's part of it, but you're right, though. The way to get the best healing is to kind of settle in and let yourself feel that, be part of that energy.
and that was really how it was almost all summer long. There were very few what I call rubberneckers, in the whole summer season. It was
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
I think people need, like, everybody. I think everybody's looking for a way to, after COVID and after the last few years. Like, I think everybody wants. Maybe people are looking to come together, and to feel more centered, balanced, and healed. And I think Lilydale's a perfect place for that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, we
yeah.
have. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Dale. Thanks for joining us. If you're just joining us, this is Spiritual Discoveries with Angie and Friends. I'm Angie Apt. This is my friend Tom Cratsley. And if you're
Well,
coming
yeah,
on,
I have to say hi. I have to say hi to Jeff. Jeff,
okay.
Jeff was with us at the Niagara Falls retreat just recently. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. That looked amazing. That was a special time. Do you want to talk about that for a second, Tom?
It was such an extraordinary event. I mean, there were 18 of us there, and the objective of the weekend was to be open to the healing power that is present with Niagara Falls, and it was magic from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I say Jeff's name, but I also have to say hi to Christine, his wife. She was there as well.
Oh, okay. Hi, Joanne. Joanne just came on. Jeff said it was a once in a lifetime experience, Niagara Falls.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I have to say that too. The
Yeah.
power of it was unmatched in anything I've experienced spiritually. It
Yeah.
was like
That's
pretty remarkable.
pretty amazing. I couldn't be there, but I was following along because a lot of people that were there were posting on Facebook, and the pictures looked amazing.
Yeah, everybody experienced significant healing, and that
Yeah.
was pretty powerful.
So,
Yeah.
Tom, you know what else I wanted to ask you about that I feel like is an important thing to talk about is your world healing meditation.
Yes, and one of the things is that Angie and I are planning to do it on perhaps a weekly basis, live. But we're also going to put together a recorded version of it to be posted. Um, so I'm excited about it only because it feels to me.
Sorry.
What's that?
Keep talking.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm excited is I feel like um, that is the best way to move forward for humanity is to just be focused on healing and well-being and the spiritual energy that's necessary for that. And basically, that's what this meditation is about just being open to the spiritual power that is going to be really necessary and important into the transformation that's coming.
Yeah.
We all feel, everybody feels that we know that we're at a critical time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And those meditations started doing those at the end of like in the spring, I think, of last year. And they were amazing. So what we do is I come on, I don't really do anything. I just introduce Tom, and then he guides everybody in an amazing meditation. And I think it really is like if we all come together in meditation, we're gonna make a difference, right, Tom?
I agree. It's that collective intention that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And One of the things I've come to understand with my age and my experience is um, whatever we think we know, there's so much more that we don't know.
I know. I know. I know.
And you keep uncovering how much more it is that you don't know
Right.
as you get older, if you're honest with yourself.
Yes, yes, it's true. That's true. That's why you keep on learning. Like I can remember somebody saying to me once, like, "Oh, I'm 50. There's no more learning for me." It's like, no, there is. You just stay open to it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we're going to probably start those meditations up pretty soon, everybody, and hopefully be on Fellowship's page, and also on Lilydale pages, and just like a weekly guided meditation, right, Tom?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It has a couple of and there'll be an explanation um, prior to the meditation itself. But I'll
yeah,
explain briefly right now what it's. What first is to open yourself individually to that universal healing power, and and the metaphor that's being used is a flame of love and light in the heart,
yeah,
and that flame gets stronger so that it takes on the capacity to burn off, consume, and transform all discomfort, all imbalance, all tension throughout the body. But it gradually expands so that you're experiencing it in the trunk and then the limbs, the head, so on, till the entire body is saturated with that transformative healing fire and love. And then it expands beyond your physical presence to include all of those who are meditating at the moment, or all of those who are like-minded,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
who seek um, a spiritual answer to the problems of the world, right? And
yeah,
so what happens is when that collective body is generated and you allow yourself to experience some of that, the energy just explodes, becomes much, much greater.
yeah,
And also at that point, we become available and open to inspiration and healing and guidance about the healing of the world.
yeah.
And that we focus our energy and attention on the healing of the world without feeling like we're fixing anything because we don't know how to fix it, right?
Right, right,
All we
right.
can do is open to the spiritual energy and watch it and observe it working, and for the benefit of the planet and for our own personal benefit.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah,
like in whatever way we need to adapt and change,
yeah.
to be open to that.
And
You know?
and you can feel it, it's
Yeah,
working. I mean, like the energy is so powerful every time you do that. I
yeah,
see Jeff just wrote some of the most powerful meditations I ever experienced were the Friday night world healing. You did those in Lilydale.
yeah.
Pretty amazing.
And
Yeah.
so it'll be very similar to those meditations. Yeah, those
Yeah.
meditations, the ones I've been doing in Lilydale, I felt inspired to start doing them after COVID. So this past year, I believe was the third year we've done them in Lilydale, and I
Yeah.
feel blessed to be able to do that in the Healing Temple too.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah,
there's something about coming together, like something about coming together, meditating, like all in a group. The energy's so powerful. But what surprised me is I remember, we're like, let's try it on Zoom or on Facebook Live and see if it works, or you can experience that same energy, and you can.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just all about the sincerity that people have.
Yeah.
If you're sincerely open to divine inspiration, it'll hit you
Yeah. Oh,
some
for
way,
sure.
shape, or form. Yeah,
That's how it is too. It hits you, and I think sometimes too, like we wonder, like, how can we make a difference, or what can we do? And I think one of the things we can do is come to like one of your meditations, or come together in a group where everybody meditates anywhere, and we're making a difference because we're creating different energy when we do that, right, Tom? Like
yeah,
healing energy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. yeah. It's very powerful, and the thing that drew me to the healing temple still draws me to the healing temple, but
Yeah.
it also inspires me to do other things as well,
Yeah.
in a healing mode.
Yes. So which I want to talk to you about restructuring, because restructuring, I mean, you just did a couple of restructuring sessions on me, and I'm amazed at the difference it made. So I want you to talk, but I just want to say hi to Patricia and Pam, and also Patricia Bell's on, and to Pam too. Hi guys.
Hello,
So uh,
hello.
yeah, so Tom, what is restructuring for people that are on kind of going, what is that?
Well, basically, it's a method of getting at unconscious resistance patterns that we live with. What do I mean by that? There are places in our lives sometimes where, despite our best efforts, we seem to be repeating things we don't want to be repeating. We seem to be holding on to emotional charges. We wonder why intellectually we know better, and yet it still persists. And this is a method of getting at those unconscious patterns. Another term I use for the restructuring is contextual pattern release. So here's what causes this game. All of these patterns, or these nasty habits, I call them nasty habits because we don't want them, right? These
Right.
nasty habits that we have come from old trauma. All right. And the reason that we aren't consciously aware of how and why that trauma is making us repeat itself, right,
Yeah.
is because at the time of the original trauma, we were utterly convinced there was nothing we could do about it. So with that in place, what do you want to? You don't want to keep looking at that. You pull the shade down. So with a shade down, you don't have to look at the trauma, but you have to live the consequences of the
Yeah.
decisions made about it. And most of those decisions were contextual and
Okay.
based on the fight or flight response, right? So
Right.
what happens in restructuring is we talk about how the patterns are influencing present life, and we use that as a platform for doing a regression back to its roots in your history, back to the very first time the person ever created or experienced that conflict in their history. And so it pops them into that memory. And while they're present with it, my job is to encourage each person to make new choices and decisions, to release much of the pent up energy that was associated with the original trauma. So like to release the fears, the anger, the
Yeah.
decisions, the promises, and all of the kinds of conclusions that were made, as well as not only the emotional and the mental energy, but also the physiological um, energy that seems to also, in some measure, persist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if once that stuff is released, there's a realignment that happens for the person doing it, and they feel free and comfortable, and like they don't have to be attached to that memory anymore.
Yeah, and you really feel like, I like you release it. You can kind of feel yourself releasing it because you're saying things like, if I talk about the one you just gave me, you're saying things that where I can feel like I'm, saying and then exhaling it out and kind of letting it go, and then you're replacing it with affirmations too, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How nature abhors a vacuum, So the I what I encourage the person to do is to replace it with the positive affirmations that encourage them to stand in their spiritual power and to operate from that place, not the place of fear.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and I just want to go back, like as you're talking about it, because you kind of like say, and actually for anybody, I broke my femur and had to have a hip replacement back in June, and Tom said, let's do a restructuring like around that, and I said, well, I mean, do you feel a restructuring would help me? And can you explain? You said yes, and you were right. Like what? Can you explain like why you felt like that would help me?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was, the accident happened to you out of the blue, and it was kind of a weird situation. You slipped in the kitchen or something, was it?
Yeah, washing the kitchen floor barefoot.
Yeah.
I slid on the wet kitchen floor and went down. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you went down, and it was like just like something like things like that usually are attached to underlying um, uh, um, underlying patterns or habits, right?
hmm
And so that's what I wanted to get at. Like any what was the underlying emotional, mental constraint that um, that you weren't consciously aware of that might have contributed to that. So we did
yeah,
that, and that made a difference. And then what was interesting is I have a conversation with you later, and I thought, oh, there's another element here that we didn't address.
yeah.
And you can say more about that if you want,
Yeah,
but
well, it was interesting because just to tell the story a little bit is I went to a hospital when I fell, and they did a CT scan and an X-ray, and they told me I was fine. So I basically walked around on my broken femur for a couple of weeks, which I hate to even think about. But Tom kind of picked up on to explain, and I feel like this helps explain restructuring a little bit too. Is like, did I feel let down by the medical system, or did I feel let down, that I went, went through what I went through, and I did, I didn't think about that, and it's like that's part of the healing. But then as Tom took me back, and he had me
yeah,
focus
it
on
was actually bigger than let down. It was betrayed.
that's right,
Yeah,
you said betrayed. Yes, yeah,
yeah,
I forgot. But what was so interesting was that took me, like as you took me back. And the thing I got to say to you guys that's so amazing about restructuring is it's not it like I do past life regression, and past life regression can take you back to something that happened in some past life. And with restructuring, Tom does it that he takes you right back to, where in my life or another life did I feel betrayed before, and right, Tom, and
right.
let's figure that out, because what that did is like that betrayal kind of triggered some other things that I needed to heal, and actually that one I think I went to a past life.
All right. Also, the secret is the origin. So it's like you could have many past lives where you exhibited some of the same problems, right? If you get back to the first one, then what happens is that your consciousness says uh, it actually reorients the rest of all those experiences because they were based on the original one. So, and people often talk about this at the end of a session. It's like their mind feels like it's racing like a million miles an hour because it's actually sorting out all the energy that was associated with that origin up to present time,
Yeah,
and saying, okay, if this is no longer valid, that means that this isn't either. This isn't either. Like it could be 20 lifetimes that
yeah.
get reoriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was something. And I kind of almost felt like it turned out to be an opportunity for me to go back to that original lifetime and heal that, inside of me, or restructure it to where I'm looking at it a different way. And I could feel myself release it. And it was interesting too, because it felt like after we did those, it felt like my leg was resisting healing. It was taking a long time, and after we did those, it was started to heal.
Yeah.
which is pretty awesome.
That
Um,
makes
oh, I
and it
just
makes
want to
perfect
read
sense.
this.
It,
Yeah,
it
oh, go
makes
ahead.
perfect sense that that would happen because you dealt with the underlying mental and emotional aspects of it, and so that the body could then get to work, on the healing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is a release because I felt it. And then you gave me a lot of downloads and affirmations that kind of helped. And then like the next day I could feel I almost felt tired, and I felt a little bit emotional, like how you would feel if you healed something that you went through years ago. And again, for mine, I think the first one you did had to do with something in my childhood, and then the second one was definitely going back to a past life.
yeah. I want
Yeah.
to thank some of the comments there that people are
Yeah.
talking, from Christine and Pamela, that are talking about how powerful the restructuring process was for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see, Christine. Restructuring is the best method of healing I've experienced. Amazingly life changing. And I'll say I agree with that because not just for my femur, but I've gone to Tom for other things in my life that restructuring helped me with. I mean, you get to it. However you do it, Tom, you get to it so fast, and the healing happens like really right in that session pretty quickly. Terry, Pamela, so powerful restructuring. I've discovered things that were buried. Yeah, I agree, Pam. Me too. And Terry wants to know, Tom, are you doing restructuring appointments?
Yes, I do, and
Yeah.
I do it by phone and in person.
Yeah. Well, you know what, everybody? I'll post Tom's information in comments so you can get that. And another, like, I think pretty exciting thing too, Tom, is you teach restructuring and teach other people how to do it, right?
Yes, I do. We have a class coming up, and it's always I've done it annually over Columbus weekend every year, and it's really one of the most powerful healing things that I do. It's an amazing thing to be present when someone is going through that kind of transformational experience.
Very
Uh,
much. Yeah. So
yeah,
you have it this year. So it's fundamental restructuring. It's a Friday evening, Tom, until Monday.
Friday evening till Monday about noon. To,
So October 11th to October 14th. And I'm going to put actually right here, fellowshipspirit.org. And I'll post that in a second too. So you can see if you're to get more information about the details of the class and if you're interested in registering. And,
so
and go ahead.
there's something I do want to say about it. That people take it for two different reasons. Um, you can take it for your own healing, um, which I recommend anyway. But so a lot of people take it with a desire that they can be start practicing it, which is what I'm hoping for more and more people to be doing. Um, and um, you'll get the fundamentals. It's I'm not saying you're going to be an expert at the end of a weekend, but you will get the fundamentals of how to set up a session and how to guide somebody through the restructuring session. And from then on, it's the encouragement is do it with friends, and and so on until you feel more comfortable with it. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you kind of too like I've taken it and I loved the course. And you take you Tom teaches. I'm trying to think how to put it. You teach and then you practice, right? So I remember loving it too because I felt like every time we practiced, I got another restructuring and released something else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's like that. It's to me. It is the most powerful healing thing that I do, that I practice, and um, it's a constant blessing in my life. Every time I do a session with someone, and I have the feeling that they've reoriented themselves around the issue, it's like you get a contact high from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Big time.
pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, I feel that. Erica, hi Erica. Erica said Tom's class is fantastic. He's a wonderful and caring teacher, and he teaches such a powerful healing technique. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
thank you.
I agree. I completely agree. And Jeff said, if you go, you will get a healing for sure. And that's how I felt too. You know, you get a healing if you get a session with Tom for sure. But if you go to the class, you do as well. You know, because you're practicing the whole time and you're in that energy, right? Tom, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm reading out. Terry wants to know if it's online. I don't think it is. Is it, Tom?
On what?
The class.
No, 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 no.
It's just in
It would be
person.
too difficult to do online because in the course of the class, you're actually going to be conducting. You're going to be leading two sessions with two other people, and you're going to be the subject of two sessions. So that would be too difficult to do online.
Yeah. You kind of certain things you can do some things online, but certain things it's better in person. Terry wants to know, where is the class located?
In well, just outside of Lilydale at the Fellowships of the Spirit Lakeside Center.
Yeah, actually it's a beautiful time of year to come down there, and it's a beautiful time of year to walk around Lilydale too. Fall is gorgeous down there.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And to find out, yeah, and Terry or anybody else that's interested too, I just posted register for restructuring www.fellowshipsspirit.org. If you go on there, and you can also read more details also about the class.
yeah,
Yeah, to me, I felt like it changed my life, and I was amazed at how much faster I started to heal when I released it. And you can just feel like you almost feel lighter as you're releasing. You just feel better all the way around.
yeah, yeah. That's it. It's hard to it for anybody that hasn't done it. It's really hard to explain the magnitude of the shift that can occur.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Tom, how did you come up, because restructuring is original. Like that's not something you went and learned someplace. You talk about how you learned it.
Well, for me, it was a challenge. And I worked for 10 years in inpatient psychiatry, and that was back in the 60s and 70s. All right. And it seemed to me that psychiatry was missing the boat, and it still is largely in many ways. That and most of the treatment all involved medication and so on. And one of the fallacies or one of the problems I believe in psychiatry in general is the avoidance of spirituality. It's deliberately avoided, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, it's fundamental to people's existence,
Yeah.
and it always has been. And I've never been a religious person,
Yeah.
and I must say I've never been religious, but I've always known that that there's something critical and important within every human being. There's some kind of a spiritual core
Yeah.
that needs to be addressed in life.
Very much.
And so I did a lot of investigating, as a younger person. I investigated a lot of metaphysical traditions that weren't necessarily religious, but they were dealing with that same question of the human psyche, the human mind, the meaning of life, etc. We're all, whether or not we choose to admit it, we're all searching for some piece of meaning, right?
Yes. Yes. Very much.
And to me, that was one of the missing pieces that I saw. So I kept pursuing answers to how to support people in rebalancing their lives and so on. and how to support me, in rebalancing my life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's personal as well as desiring to help others.
Yeah.
So several pieces came together, and in my search, I looked into a process that was developed by a psychiatrist. His name was Roberto Assagioli, and psychosynthesis was the methodology he worked with. And basically, it was working with people with metaphors and in a kind of a hypnotic process to deal with their fears and their angst and so on. And I played with that for a bit, and I felt some measure of success, but it never felt like it got to the core.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there was a man by the name of Robert Fritz that I worked with for a number of years, who was an expert in the creative process and had written some books and so on. And he he developed this particular process, which he called structural thinking. And in structural thinking, what he had people do was to look at um, the um, the way in which a negative pattern repeated itself, but repeated itself almost exactly the same way every time, you
Yeah.
know. And so
Yeah.
he'd set up a timeline. So that he was looking at the structure of how um, you would get triggered, and then how you would go through your suffering and then kind of move out of it, right?
Yeah.
And what he, I think, what he was working with was a thing that's we know about in psychologies, pattern interrupt. So if you could see it and see where you were, you could interrupt the pattern, right? Which was useful and helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then um the place where I put it all together was at a workshop that I took with a chiropractor and his wife, and they were very, very psychically attuned. And people would say, well, they'd raise their hand in the audience and say, well, I'm having trouble with my right shoulder. Um, and they'd look at them and say, release hate for your mother in ancient Afghanistan.
Wow.
And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, they feel a twitch and they feel a little bit better.
Wow.
Over the course of that weekend, I had three experiences of my own where, like I raised my hand or they went. Two of them had to do with past lives, um, and I felt sort of a twitch or change, but I had no conscious understanding or memory of those past lives, so it didn't have a deep meaning for me. It's like
Yeah.
it kind of sort of washed away. But the third time that they suggested something was about an issue that I had with my father, and it wasn't that heavy or anything, but I was able to um, identify that, understand it on many different levels of awareness, right? And I could feel it in my body. And when I made that choice, I could feel a realignment,
Ah. Yeah.
significant. So I
Yeah.
knew I had a key, so I started playing with it. I started playing with getting at that origin place and having the person be in that origin place while they were making the choices and decisions. So that's how I put it all together. And also, I have to say this: for a solid month before that last piece came in, I was praying to be a vehicle of grace.
Ah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
it all came together.
Yeah, and you sure are, Tom. You really are. So, Cindy said, "What's an example of releasing question mark trauma question mark?"
Well, it's not just you see the trauma itself has um, what I call a contextual body of energy, if you will, and it's multidimensional. That contextual body of energy is physical, emotional, mental, and even spiritual. Because sometimes part of that contextual body is, you know, feeling betrayed by God, feeling abandoned by God, and all of the But that's only one of the aspects. So whatever transpired in that original trauma, all of them, all of those pieces get addressed separately in the restructuring process, so that it becomes this contextual whole that you're looking at. You're not just looking at a piece of something. You're looking at the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that answers that question. It's a very difficult question to answer, without seeing the whole process.
Right, without hearing it. I mean, there's so many things. I think anything that you have a fear of or anything that's holding you back is something you could get a restructuring for, right, Tom?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I've done it, many times with myself. I've had that opportunity to do spontaneous, and many people do occasionally have what I call a spontaneous restructuring, where the light comes on and you understand the link and the connection between what you're habitually doing and where that came from, and you can snap the pattern like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I'll just share that the first time I did a restructuring is I'm going back like 25 years, and it was because I was starting to do readings, and I had a terrible fear of doing readings that I couldn't get past. And Elaine Thomas said, go see Tom for a restructuring. He'll help you, because I was doing everything I could to get past that fear. And when I came to you for the restructuring, and you took me back to a past life, where I was ridiculed for using my gift. And I thought of that because, like I said, all of a sudden you feel that energy shift, like that pattern was interrupted. And when you did that, it was because after that, I was actually pretty amazed, because I thought, I don't know, like maybe this, is this going to work, or how is this going to be? Sure, I'll try it. I've tried everything else, but I have a feeling I'm going to quit doing readings because I can't get past this fear. And then I had the session with you, and I'm still doing readings, and just that, and that understanding made a huge difference for me, and that I could let that go. That was from back then. I didn't have to keep that promise I made in that life, maybe, to never do it again, to not do readings because it wasn't safe. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a great blessing in my life to be doing it and sharing it with other people.
Yeah, for sure. Pam said, I've had that light bulb after I had a mini reading. Oh, from Lisa Williams, it connected to dots to current patterns of mine. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what restructuring does. Then if you saw Vince, he said, I worked with Tom this past summer. Amazing. Yeah, Tom is. I mean, Tom's an amazing healer, because we're talking about restructure. We didn't even get to energy healing. We have to have you come back on again so we can talk about energy healing, Tom.
Yeah, especially to me, the big thing that is on the horizon has to do with understanding elemental consciousness, and working with that in healing. Because I've had a lot of what people would call it miraculous results from doing that.
Yeah.
Looking elementally for things like addiction and um, the influence of bad medicine on people.
For sure.
It's like the reactions that you have to a lot of different medicines. And they're there for a positive reason, but they also have negative side effects, and you can deal with the negative side effects.
Yeah, that's amazing too. So if somebody wants to make an appointment with you to get a restructuring, you do them in person. How do you do them on Zoom
In
or
person and telephone. It doesn't need to be Zoom because your eyes are closed most of the time.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I did. Yeah, you did the one with me over the phone because I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
And that worked just fine. So I'm going to post just your phone number, right? So they can call up to schedule.
Yep. They can,
Okay.
you can call. Yeah.
And I want to put this up again too, if I can. I'm proud of myself that I could do this. But so fundamental restructuring is a weekend retreat, Friday, October 11th to Monday, October 14th. Register to save your seat because you only take a certain amount of people, right, Tom, for this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can register at fellowshipsspirit.org. And when you go on there, you'll see it says events. And if you click on events, you just kind of scroll down and you'll see it right there. And there's a lot of detail kind of about what you do for the weekend. Is food included, Tom?
No.
No, okay. But there's restaurants and there's things like all around there. And there's guest houses in Lilydale that they can stay at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me take this down again. So yeah, and anything else, Tom? You want to talk about with it? Do we miss anything?
No, I think we covered everything about the class and the history behind it and so on. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that we talked about that because I didn't know that. I knew it was something that you came up with, but I didn't know the history. It's fascinating.
yeah.
Oh, Terry, the phone number. Should I just post that now, Tom? I could post your phone number. Hold on a
Oh
second.
yeah, yeah. Do it. Yeah, post it.
Here, wait, I'll make a banner.
716-595-595-3551.
So it's 716 5 3551. Okay, and this is to schedule
Yeah.
restructuring. Okay, I'm gonna put this up for everybody so that if you want to get a hold of Tom, you can. And if you have questions about the workshop too, you can call too.
Sure.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Is that right? Is that the right number, Tom? Just make sure.
I'm not seeing where you put it.
It's 716-595-3551 to
Yeah.
schedule a restructuring with Tom. It's on our on the screen underneath you and me.
Oh, there it is. I see it now.
You see
Okay.
it? Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure why you
I
couldn't
know where
see
you
it.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's see. I think I missed that. Are you printing it? Nope. I just put it up there right now, Terry. You should be able to see it if you look on screen underneath Tom and I. And I will post it in comments so you'll see it there as well. Okay. And oh, hi, Melody.
Yeah.
Melody just came on. Yeah, this will be replayed. So anybody that came on late, if you want to see the whole thing, you can. And I would recommend it because Tom's pretty interesting to listen to about Lilydale. And we talked about the world healing meditation that I feel is so important, and also restructuring that I feel can change your life. You don't see it. Sharon doesn't see any of the chat. You guys see the chat now? Okay. If you look in chat, do you see the phone number? I guess I better put it in the chat too. Hold on, Tom.
Okay.
716-595-3. Okay, you guys, I'm going to post this in comments, and then hopefully you'll see it. It should go
Oh
on.
yeah.
You see it in comments, everybody?
Popped up under
Yeah.
fellowships.
So that number, that 716-595-3551, is Tom's number to go ahead and book a session for a restructuring. And I'm actually going to try to get Tom to come to Santosha, which is my holistic center in Williamsville, to maybe do some restructurings, right?
Yep, I will.
Yeah.
We're planning on doing that. And also, they should have the number for fellowships for the class, because they would sign up for the class not through me.
Yeah,
but
I'll put
through
this here.
fellowships.
I'll let you talk while I type, Tom. I can't. If I type and talk at the same time, I mess it up. Okay, so here is the website that you can go on for the class. Just put that in comments. And then I'm also going to give you the phone number for fellowships if you have any questions. That's what you said, right, Tom?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And so that's 716. Yeah. Yeah. So feel free. And Terry asked if we both live in Lilydale. Tom lives in Lilydale.
Yes.
I have a house in Lilydale, and I'm there in the summer, but I don't live there all year. Okay.
Yeah, my wife and I also have a guest house.
That's right. Yeah. So you know what?
Harmony house.
Yeah, so they can call your number. Like if somebody wants to sign up for restructuring and and they're staying for 2 nights, they can stay at your guest house, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Harmony House. Tom's got, I think, the best guest house. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So yeah, so everybody, thank you. We appreciate that you came on and listened with us for the past hour, and I appreciate time that you came on. This is I
I want to thank all my friends that have or came on and shared their comments and all those that I haven't met yet. So thank you.
Yeah, all our future friends, right? I feel like
Yeah.
as soon as they come on here and they listen, they're already our friends, right, Tom?
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend coming up. Hopefully the weather's great where you are. It's beautiful here. And thank you, Tom. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Angie.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.